Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Tom Madden of TransMedia Group. Tom, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Hey, it's great to be here. Great to talk to you.
Definitely super excited to have you on. And before we jumped in, I want to read a little bit more about Tom so you hear about all the awesome things that he's doing. And Tom Madden is the quintessential PR man, telling him to stop publicizing, inventing products like his Knife and Forklift that helps you to exercise while eating and writing articles, blogs, and books is like telling the government to stop spending money. Pointless. His popular blog is MaddenMischief, and Madden's rise in the world of media started at the Philadelphia Inquirer before he served as Vice President of NBC under the then CEO, Fred Silverman. After departing NBC, Tom launched his own award-winning public relations firm, TransMedia Group, in 1981 that is now celebrating its 40th year in business in 2021. Congratulations. And the firm is now based in Boca Raton, Florida, and has offices worldwide. He is author of the new book, World Shine Man, as well. Tom, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
I sure am. Sure am.
Well, let's do
Fire
it then.
away.
Let's do
Fire
it.
away.
So to kind of kick everything off, I wanted to rewind the clock a little bit, hear a little bit more on how you got started and how you started doing all the awesome work you're doing now.
Well, I started in PR actually when I left the newspaper world. I was a reporter at the Philadelphia Inquirer for a number of years, and then I got greedy and I wanted to make more money. So I went into network television. And I worked myself up to number 2 at NBC in New York, and I had those adventures, and they were fun and very scary, but very lucrative and so forth. But then I left there and started this business, TransMedia Group. Our first clients were some of the largest companies in America at the time, like AT&T. I did work for the city of New York. And all kinds of other clients, Kellogg's in Battle Creek, Michigan, the cereal maker. I coached the CEOs of those companies, to get up in front of cameras and be very, very effective. And I arranged for them to have a lot of media appearances and so forth. And they were difficult times for these companies because AT&T at the time was going through a divestiture. They were being forced by the Federal Trade Commission to give up their operating companies and become a smaller company. So I helped them through that very difficult time, got them on a lot of television shows, and took the CEO at the time, whose name was Charlie Brown, believe it or not, Charlie Brown, that was his name. And I helped Charlie Brown make a strong case that AT&T is going to be better than it ever was, and so forth. Although it was a crushing blow for AT&T. But we put a good spin on it, and that's what the business is all about: putting these good spins on sometimes even bad news. It's called crisis management. And I do a lot of that, and I've helped a lot of businesses through some very difficult times through the crisis management. But PR is what I have been doing all these years successfully, made a lot of people very wealthy, because there's nothing like exposure. I mean, if you don't know about somebody or their products, how are you going to buy them? How are you going to support them? So, and it's the exposure that comes not from pounding on your chest, advertising. It comes from third parties like the media, like something like we're doing right here. Like, I mean, you're interviewing me, I'm talking about my company. And it's different than me putting an ad out there and just, beating my chest saying how wonderful we are and so forth. So, I mean, this has more credibility and it's more effective. And we've helped a lot of companies prosper.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I appreciate you for sharing that, because I think I often say the name of the game is all about being found, all about visibility, and to really get that visibility, especially where other people are pounding your chest instead of you pounding your own chest, that definitely helps out as far as like building that know, like, and trust and all those things that help people want to support businesses and organizations and continue to kind of frequent and patronize them.
So, and on the side, I write books. I've written 5 books so far. My 5th is titled Word Shine Man. and that's coming out next month. It'll be on Amazon, be in bookstores and so forth. And it's a very close to my business kind of book because I've become a word chime man. And let me tell you what a word chime man does.
Mhm.
We used to polish boots and shoes. They were called shoe shine men. And that was okay. Now what I'm discovering in my PR business as we bring in younger people who are bright as hell, motivated as hell, but they don't have the facility for writing that a guy like me over the years has acquired. I look at their press releases, and my daughter Adrienne says to me, Dad, can you polish this release? And the word polish became part of the things that I was, all the communication. So I became a polisher. And then I came up with the word shine man. So that's what I do. I make words, sentences, paragraphs, headlines shine. So you want to read them. You get involved in them. They interest you. They're effective. And that's what a lot of people have trouble doing these days, and that is write effectively. Yeah, they could send a quick text, and they're very rapid with the thumbs, and boy, they're good with those kind of short messages.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to come down to a really compelling press release that's going to get the attention of editors, producers, people like yourself, you're going to get their attention, you better be able to shine a little bit. Shine that first opening headline. That headline better grab. And that's what I do. I make headlines grab. Now, I'll read you a very short thing. The book starts with a little poem.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote the lyrics to it, and I go real fast here because I think it sums up the book very well.
Mm-hmm.
It says, once shoes, now words need polish. Here comes the word shine man. And here goes the lyrics. It's going to be a hit song one of these days. I don't have the music yet, but maybe one of your audience is a good,
singer,
can write some music. Here's the lyrics I wrote. You want words to tell her you love her, but not so many that'll smother. Here's what I advise you, brother. Go see the word shine man. Once scuffed, dirty shoes needed polish. Nowadays, it's words won't shine. So I tell you, bro, consult a word pro. Go see the word shine man. A magician with words is he. Reels them out with glee, not free. You slap some grease in his hand, and he's yours, the word shine man. Prose he comes up with will scintillate. She'll know you're her number one fan. Never too late for love to percolate. Go see the word shine man. That's going to be a big song one of these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me do the snaps. You have the claps of that when you hear some really good poetry. It's a really great words, especially too. No, that's completely awesome. And I love that. That sounds like what kind of sets you apart and makes you unique. That secret sauce I like to talk, Sean, is your ability. I think at the heart of it, I don't know if you would feel the same way, is it's not, to me, and definitely correct me if I'm wrong, it's not just the words, but it's your ability to communicate that and understand that, and to be able to create those headlines, be able to do those things, not just have the words, but use the words in order to reach goals, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And sometimes, you just have to move some words around. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Put them in a certain position and say something that's going to just leap out at you and say, oh, I got to read this, because like when people send an email, in that subject line, if you don't capture their interest in that subject line, your email is going to die. Mm-hmm. It ain't going to get read. So you got to have something compelling, and it can't be more than 4 or 5 words. And those 4 or 5 words better strike some magic and get that attention, or else that email won't even be opened.
Right.
And that's the problem today. We get too many emails,
mm-hmm.
and we don't open them all. We don't have time to open them all. So we look at that subject line, and it better grab your attention. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing most of my time as the word shine man.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, if your emails are not being open, make sure you call the word shine man, or at the very least, get his book that is coming out for sure. So,
That's it, man.
yeah. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and
Sure.
I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Well, it comes down to the experience, and I've had all kinds of successes and disasters. I mean, you have to make mistakes if you're going to learn. So
Mhm.
then you can avoid mistakes that others make. So being in this business so long, being sending so many messages out, I've gotten to learn what kind of works and what is not going to work, and I try to convey that to the staff and so forth. They look upon me as a very seasoned, experienced guy, and they want to know what I think of what they do and how they write it. So it's good, and I think we make a lot of progress that way, and that's what the book is about. It's got a lot of before and afters. I really dealt with real situations where somebody wrote a press release or a headline or something, and that was the before. And
Mhm.
then I simply added some of my experience to it and made it an after. And the after and my staff, and especially the interns, we get these college interns, and they really are amazed at what can be done by just moving some words around, making things a little shorter, tighter. So many things you can do with words, keeping shorter words, active words, and you'd be surprised how you can improve the effectiveness of writing.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. But I love that you kind of touched on, and you said you acquire earlier. You said you acquired that knowledge, and I think that speaks to the expertise of you being able to have that 10,000 hours, so to speak, that I think so many times we forget about of what it
That's
takes
right.
to really be great at what you do.
Exactly, and that's what this book is. It's very instructional. I try to make it fun to read. It's
Hmm.
entertaining, and I put some examples of very, very powerful writing that I've done over the years, and I show examples of how something can be brought up to that level with some modifications and so forth. So I think the book is going to be a very interesting read for a lot of people who want to get into communications.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I wrote it with that in mind. Now, but when I always write, I try to make it fun and inviting, and fun to read and so forth. Because, yeah, people want to learn, but they also want to have a good time learning.
Yeah.
So you gotta make it fun to get into something. And I've got some very funny stuff in there that we've done over the years. And then I've got some very serious stuff. I represent some prisoners. I'm very passionate about people serving these long sentences in prison.
Mhm.
And some of them are innocent. It's just amazing. Our criminal justice system has gotten so distorted. So this one poor guy down in Houston, Texas, he's a wonderful guy. He's 20 years in prison. It's 20
Mhm.
years in prison. And he is the nicest, sweetest, intelligent guy. He was charged with murder and so forth, but there is proof emerging that he wasn't even at the scene of the crime.
Mhm.
He couldn't have shot somebody at this dice game
Mhm.
outside his bar late at night. He was at his sister's wedding about 500 miles away.
Mhm.
But the DA down there in Houston doesn't want to rock the boat, and they just want to keep their foot on this poor guy's neck,
Mhm.
you know, kneeling on him, just like what happened to that poor guy.
Mhm.
So, so I write very passionately about him. And I think it's moving the needle a little bit towards the courts now looking at him with a fresh point of view. And that's my one of my goals is to get free people, freedom, and people who are innocent out of those situations. And I show how writing sometimes can advance that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Words definitely have power, and I appreciate you for doing that, for sharing that. And of course, sometimes we don't realize the power and impact that we can have by the words that we choose or the way that we rearrange them, as you said, so well. And so, I guess I want to get a little bit more, I guess, from you or from the book or a combination of both. Could you give us like what I call a CEO nugget, which is like a word of wisdom or piece of advice? It could be around words or something that we can take away so that we can be better wordsmith or be something like the word Shine Man.
Well, one of the most important things is something that is a kind of a lost or an art that's sort of ebbing away, and that is listening.
Mm.
And you want to help somebody, you better first listen to them and see where they're coming from and see what they're thinking and what their feelings are and so forth. Then you could be a much more effective. I mean, you go to a doctor, he doesn't start prescribing. He starts to really check you out. And listening is a way of starting a process and understanding where somebody has to come to, where they are starting from, their starting point. So that's what I've gotten pretty good over the years, is kind of just listening to people. I listen to how they speak. I listen to what they're interested in. I listen to what excites them and so forth. And this all goes into the equation of prescribing something for those young people who want to be communicators. So that's a very important starting point. And then, of course, there's a delicacy here in terms of teaching without being destructive.
Yeah.
And that's an art too. I mean, you want to be able to tell people they're way out of line with their words, and yet do it in a way that's not going to discourage them and make them excited about progressing to a higher level. And that's an art too. I mean, you've got to be able to teach without being destructive. So, those are a couple of things over the years I've picked up on. And I think that what makes me a fairly effective leader.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate you for sharing that. And I think so many times when we think of communicating, sometimes we're just thinking of what we can write, what we can say, always outward. But I love that listening piece, because a lot of times we forget that communication is all about that, kind of back and forth, understanding what somebody is saying, what they're looking for, whatever it might be, and being able to kind of communicate based off of that. And I think that just like I guess a really good, dancer, or somebody that's able to perform, they're able to understand and move to their audience and who they're dancing with, so to speak. So I appreciate that nugget.
All right. What else you want to talk about?
I wanted to ask you now my absolute favorite question. You work with so many CEOs, entrepreneurs, and business owners, and led so many. So I wanted to ask you, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Well, there's a fatherly aspect to being a CEO. I mean, you become sort of like the father of an organization. And what do fathers do? I mean, yeah, they want their children, their young people, to carry the ball and be in the sport and so forth, and you can coach them from the sidelines and so forth. But I think that's what it entails, is that kind of leadership from the side, and let people feel that they're progressing and not just following a leader. I want to instill leadership in everybody, so we can have a lot of leaders within an organization. So I don't believe in just establishing a kind of authoritarian rule over an organization. I want everybody to aspire to leadership, and that's sort of the goal here. And if you can do that, well, you're going to have a powerful company.
Nice. I absolutely appreciate that. I'm a big believer, just as you said so well, that true leaders actually create more leaders and they empower the people on their team, just as you said, parents are doing, and being on the sideline and cheering on, providing support, whatever it might be for those people within the organization to be leaders. So, Tom, truly appreciate that definition. I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is just pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know, and of course, how best they can get a hold of you, get a copy of the book, and find out about all the awesome things that you're working on.
Sure. I mean, the book Word Chime Man, it's my fifth. It'll be out. You can find it on Amazon and be in certain bookstores around the country. And I hope you enjoy reading it and get something out of it, because I put a lot into it and I think it's useful to read and even to share with others in your family and so forth. So that's coming out. And as far as the business, well, we're finally passing through this pandemic, and things are going to get back to semi-normal again. And but it's interesting how we have progressed in these Zooms and this kind of virtual, world that we're in right now. So it has brought us into another era. I think it's made us all better communicators in a lot of respects. So we've learned something from this horror, and hopefully we can use now more power in our communications.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, I appreciate you for helping so many people do that. We will have the links and information in the show notes as well too, so that everybody can get a copy of the book, and hear about all the awesome things you're doing. And I appreciate, you hopping on the show and you providing so much wisdom, because I think so many times we forget that in order to be successful, a lot of times we stand on the shoulders of giants, so to speak. And as you said, you put a lot in that book, but I know you put a lot into the work that you've done that led to that book. So I appreciate you for sharing so much of your knowledge and expertise, and of course, taking time out today. And I hope you have a great rest of the day.